First thing that Ahab does, once he's had a chance to reflect on all that happened on Mount Carmel, where God had defeated the false Baal and God's prophet Elijah had slayed all the false prophets, is that he goes and finds his wife Jezebel and gives her the full lowdown. Hi, I'm Ken Godevanis, and this is Digging for Scriptural Gems. Thank you for joining us again today as we study 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 1 to 8. As soon as Jezebel heard that Elijah had killed all the prophets, she sent a messenger to him saying that she was willing to allow the gods to kill her, and even worse, if she had not killed Elijah by tomorrow, and she adds, about this time. Wow, talk about intention to murder by a certain hour or be taken care of by her own gods. Pretty strong resolve there on Jezebel's part. Remember, she was the known champion of Baal and Astarte worship in Israel. She had supported these priests from the royal treasury. This was clearly a desire of revenge on her part. She wanted to take his life as he had done to her prophet friends. Now, how would you react if you received that message from your head of government, or worse still, their spouse? I'd fear for my life. And so did Elijah. He got up and he ran to Beersheba, which was in the southern kingdom of Judah. There he left his personal servant. Sometimes we have to face the fear we sense all by ourselves. Sometimes even the tasks that are before us have to be pursued alone. Jesus certainly did. And of course, once Elijah had a chance to stop and think, he felt it wise to go a day's journey into the wilderness. And out of sheer exhaustion, he rested under a juniper tree or shrub. It's at that time that he asked God to let him die, to take his life, for he said, after all, I am not better than any of my fathers or ancestors. He was basically saying, I'm a failure too, God. At that point, sleep overtakes him, and an angel touches him and says, arise, eat. Waking up, he sees a bread cake baked on hot stones or coals before him, along with a jar of water. He ate and drank and lay down again. And the angel of the Lord came again, touched him, and told him to arise and eat again, and added, because the journey is too great for you. The NAT translates it as, otherwise you won't be able to make the journey. Now, one could assume that Elijah had been told earlier, either by God or by the angel messenger, that he needed to go all the way to Horeb. Elijah ate and drank, as he was told. He got up and traveled to Horeb, and we are also told that that meal that the angel insisted he eat provided him with the necessary strength for the trip, which took 40 days and 40 nights. Now, we're going to stop there and search for some more gems. Instead of thinking and admitting that the fire from Yahweh proves that she was wrong and that Yahweh is God, Jezebel responded instead with a vow to kill Elijah within 24 hours. And if truth be known, often that is what happens when people are confronted with the truth of God. Their hearts become hardened even more, and their stupidity rises as hatred suppresses clear thinking. Your mind may wander back to Pharaoh in Egypt before he let the Israelites flee. We also note in our study today that Elijah leaves Ahab in Jezreel and goes to Beersheba, where he drops off his servant. David Gusick says that is about 80 miles south. Some say 100 miles or 160 kilometers. Then he goes alone from there to Horeb, That's 420 kilometers or 260 miles. The text also refers to Horeb as the mountain of God. Now, in this passage, we have a great man of God, a great man of prayer, who God fully entrusted with his own authority, yet now he is so discouraged that he prays, this time not for God to send rain, but he prays for God to let him die. How is that possible? Yet it is. And we should take note of this. When we observe such behavior in men or women of faith or in ourselves. Now, fortunately, in Elijah's case, as we'll see later on, spoiler alert, this was a prayer not answered for Elijah. In fact, Elijah was one of the few men in the Bible to never die. Elijah was saying, Lord, it's enough. I can't take this anymore. And right there and then, God ministers to his physical needs through rest and food directed by the angel, by God's angel. God ministers to his physical needs first, gets those fixed up, then, as we'll see, he ministers to his spiritual need. And the first part sometimes takes time. And a lesson had to be learned. Most say that trip he took normally would take 1/4 of the time between those two places. But God wanted Elijah to travel and learn dependence on him. So he had to travel in the wilderness ever so slowly, maybe even getting lost a few times, who knows. There's definitely some symbolism here. 40 days for Elijah in the wilderness and 40 years for the people of Israel, again in the wilderness. God wanted to teach some lessons. Are you in the wilderness? It doesn't matter how you got there. What matters is twofold, in my opinion. First, that you understand that if you're there, God has allowed you to be there. Second, you need to figure out what it is he wants you to learn there. Learn it, and then rely on him to lead you out of the wilderness. I was there once, and for me it lasted a long time. Counted in years, not months or weeks. That was a long time ago. Sometimes I still feel like I'm about to be put back there. But now I stop and I realize that it is I that leads me there, not God this time. God taught me what he wanted me to learn in this regard. What I need now is to remember the lesson and to put it into practice and not step foot into my wilderness by turning matters over entirely to him. Can we do that together, friends? Next time, we'll see that Elijah's desire to die was not the only mental anguish he suffered. Something worse than that came upon him. Join us for that. But in the meantime, if you like what you hear or see, please indicate that on the video you're watching. Also, please go back and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. It's called Digging for Scriptural Gems. Go to YouTube, put in Digging for Scriptural Gems, and subscribe to that. And above all, keep on studying God's Word.